Hello everyone, welcome to Deaf Mute Studio. I am joined by Gareth. My hot pants are really flexible Gibson, and we are recommending a horror film each throughout October for Halloween. We are on the 25th of October. Gib, what have you got for us?
So my pick today is George A. Romero's Day of the Dead from 1985. My personal favourite from his Dead trilogy or series, because he ended up making a few later on in his life. I think it was 5 years ago yesterday that he passed away.
Oh wow!
Yeah, rest in peace, Big George. And one of my favorite directors, just favorite people in film as well. But Day of the Dead, I think is his masterpiece. Was originally meant to be a way bigger film in scope. It was a bit more of an action film. I think Tom Savini phrased like the original script. It was Ben-Hur with zombies in it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but I think there was a bit of confliction of the budget and whether they could make it unrated and things like that. So they could have probably done it with a bigger budget, but it would have had to be an R-rated, or we can make it on a smaller budget, bring it down, and we can make it for a smaller budget. I think it was like 6 million or something like that. But I think that's what I really like about the film as well. I'd say it's all confined. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. It's my favourite film of the Dead. So yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love the confinement of it, like the underground bunker confinement of it, which is what obviously he ended up having to maybe like rewrite the scripts and just bring it down to like its essentials, which was all underground and on one setting. And it is quite depressing and downbeat, but I just absolutely love it. I think it's got some really good performances, and I mean, like
100%, yeah.
Yeah, like not to say I don't mean in the sense of like Oscar worthy or anything like that, but the character of Rhodes, the guy who plays him, just chews every bit of that scenery, and
he's my favourite character in that film. He's incredible.
He is. He's probably most people's favourite of the whole series. He passed away a couple of years ago as well. Unfortunately, he was. He was quite ill for a while. I was hoping I was going to get to meet him at the Weekend of the Dead convention, which he was originally meant to be going to, but couldn't go because he sadly passed away. But I'd love to have met that guy. I love seeing chewing performances, and he's probably the more like fun part of the film. The film that's not that fun, to be honest. I love the character, the iconic zombie of Bob, who's obviously always well regarded. Has an amazing score by John Harrison, I think he's called. He did the score for Creepshow as well. It was directed by George A. Romero, and really, really kind of adds to that sort of isolation part of the film. And it's got the best looking zombies. I don't even think it's even been beat now, to be honest. It's Tom Savini's it's his absolute masterpiece of prosthetic effects, and he had a young Greg Nicotero as his understudy at that time, who was gone on to do The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And lots of other great films, and for over the past like 30 years. Yeah, I just absolutely love it. I think the first time I saw it was you're probably looking maybe like 2001 when Anchor Bay brought the special release out of it.
Yeah.
Special edition, which I still own. I own multiple copies of it on various formats. It's probably one of my favorite zombie movies as well. not alone, just the best of, you know, Romero's zombie films and his films as well, and he's made a lot of good films as well. So yeah, that's my pick, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, absolute banger, mate. I mean, it like I said, it's my favorite of the George A. Romero films. I think it's. I like Night of the Living Dead. I enjoyed Dawn of the Living Dead. I do.
Dawn of the Dead, yeah.
It's a classic for a reason. But I like Day of the Dead because it always seems to be a little bit unsung compared to Dawn. Like everyone seems to like put Dawn ahead of it, but I agree. I think Day of the Dead is the better one. And Rhodes, man, if I ever get eaten by a bunch of zombies, I am screaming, choke on it.
Choke on it!
When I first saw that, I thought that was the coolest death scene ever because it was just, it was his character. He straight line, just pure hate, just defiance. And yeah, I mean, I always like death scenes where people like say something really either witty or just in tune with the character, like for like Spoon in Dog Soldiers, where he says to the werewolf, "I hope I give you the shits."
Yeah,
that's up there with me with choke on it.
They know they've had it, but they're gonna
go down swinging in some way or other.
Yeah, and there's a really funny story on the like the documentaries that have been out of it. So that scene, so basically they obviously like cut the ground out, and the character was you know half, you know, his legs were underground, and then he made you know the rest of the body. But apparently all the guts and all that, I think they were like cow guts or something, which were gathered, and then they were put in this refrigerator. And apparently someone had turned the refrigerator off, and they'd been left for like 2 weeks before they were ready to shoot. So when they got ready, so like this poor guy had to like sit in this fucking hole probably for about 6 or 7 hours while all these rotten cow guts were just all over. And obviously all these zombie extras that were probably not getting paid anything were having to pretend to eat them. And he said I've never smelled a dead body, but this must have been pretty close to what a rotten corpse must have smelled like. And they were like spraying cologne and like to try and mask it, but that probably would have made it
worse.
So yeah, people, it's quite a funny story of people suffering for their art.
Oh no!
But it's a great scene. I love it when like the absolute, you know, the absolute arsehole gets it in the death that really suits.
Yeah.
You know his, you know, like you know what he deserves basically. So I know the way he turns around and he's like, oh, and they're all like grabbing at him, and it's so good. That's probably one of the more fun parts of the film, but I say a lot of it is really downbeat. Has a great female protagonist as well. I think there's the character Sarah, which Romero has been criticised in the past of having quite kind of poorly written female characters, especially like Barbara in the original Night of the Living Dead. She just kind of goes a bit catatonic and just goes a bit loopy, and yeah, the woman in Day of the Dead as well was a little bit underwritten, but I think the character of Sarah is really well. Like she is pretty tough and quite you know quite, and she's stuck in an underground bunker with maybe about 50 men. And yes, as I say, kind of really takes charge, but then has parts where where she does kind of break down a bit as well and is quite vulnerable. So it's quite realistic. It's not there's layers. There's kind of layers to her character. So I think in the writing as well is one of the stronger parts of this film. So yeah, I could harp on about this film for a long time, but yeah, that's my pick, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, fantastic choice, mate. Absolutely love it. For my pick, I'm going with 1981's, I say classic. I only really know you and a few other people that have watched it, but My Bloody Valentine.
Yes, yeah.
Like it was this was a film for watch. Late
Yeah,
at
I remember
night.
it's been on film for quite a lot.
And it's it's not usually my kinds of horror film. I'm more of a like I like supernatural creatures and whatnot, but I really enjoyed this, and I think the end scene. I mean, there are spoilers on the at the beginning of this video, but it's his laugh as he's getting away.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's chilling.
Yeah, yeah. It's especially for that time as well. It's very nasty. It's got very nasty edge to it. Yeah, especially like rewatch like the more recent Blu-ray releases, like the Scream Factory one and things like that, where you get to see a lot more of the blood and the gore, and yeah, it's one of those slasher films that really fucking went for it for how old it was as well. Yeah, I really like it. It's really fun. Yeah, and there's a lot of those sort of Canadian indie horror films that I do really enjoy. Yeah, it's you know, cool looking killer as well.
Cool looking killer. I liked the small mining town. It was, I mean, to be honest, I had no idea it was a Canadian film until a few years back. I was just like, oh wow. I don't know why that surprised me. It's like, oh wow, a good Canadian film. But I was like, I just had no idea it was Canadian, because you know, I'm poorly educated, Gib.
Yeah, you could probably, when you rewatch it now, you'll probably get it from some of the accents in it as well.
Yeah,
it's got a very yeah, a lot of the characters have got their Canadian twangs in there.
But yeah, it's a cool film that I really do dig. It's a good watch, and
it is. I mean, it is. I know you said you don't know a lot of people who like it, but it has got a good cult following. You know, sort of like horror fans, and you know, in the know that like really like the slasher movies and stuff. It is quite highly regarded. You know, whether it'll be in everyone's top 10 or anything like that, I don't know. But yeah, I really like it. It's a very solid slasher movie.
Yeah,
excellent. Just does what it says on the tin.
It does, or does what it says on the pickaxe.
Yeah.